In this video, I'm going to break down how you can close high-ticket sales deals in one call in less than 30 minutes without follow-ups, without proposals, and without having to actually deal with objections. Now, if this sounds too good to be true, bear with me to the end of the video because when I share with you what the secret is, it's actually going to make a lot of sense. And the reality is, achieving this outcome has nothing to do with your ability to sell. You don't have to be the best closer in the world. You don't have to memorize endless objection handling scripts or frameworks in your head. Yes, those things are helpful on a sales call, but I had this hard realization 2 times in the last month that helped me arrive at this conclusion. And the reality is, it all comes down to how easy is your offer to say yes to. If your offer requires a huge amount of money up front, a huge time commitment up front, or if there is requiring too much trust from them to a stranger to get started too soon, it falls apart and you get a lot of I need to think about it objections or uncertainty. Even if they have the money, they're not sure if they want to spend that type of money. So how do you craft an offer that allows you to be able to close deals a lot quicker with a lot less effort? And before I share with you what that looks like, here are the 2 stories that will allow you to hopefully see what I'm talking about here. So we recently signed up with a company who is going to be providing a placement service for us, and their offer was just frankly too good to say no to. And the person who I took the sales call with, so I was the prospect being sold to, I could just tell that this person was a little bit newer to their job, right? They were trying to show me all the features, all the reasons I should buy, take me through the full process. And I was already someone who was very solution aware and was just looking to see what their offer was and what the price was. And about 20, 30 minutes into the phone call, he finally arrived at the, hey, here's what it costs, here's what it does. And none of the rest of the call mattered. I didn't care that he wasn't exceptional at sales. He didn't have to convince me because the offer was too hard to say no to. And so we ended up signing up with them. And another realization I had here is back in February of our company here, we actually rolled out a new pricing model that allowed people to sample the program a little bit more. And I'll break all this down here in just a moment. But what happened was we had our best month in terms of sales volume, not necessarily revenue or cash collected, but sales volume in February. And unfortunately, the operations team didn't necessarily love how we were structuring the offer, and they made us revert back to the old model. And then it took us about 3 months of doing the old model to realize the answer was in front of us the whole time. We need to make sure the offer is exactly what it needs to be and positioned in a way that gets us the outcome we want. And then the operations team needs to follow suit. And very often, the easy answer isn't always the best one. Sometimes the simplest answer is the best one, but it's not always the easy answer. And so what I want you to be able to do is graduate eventually from having to do these long overdone sales processes that require a bunch of follow-ups and proposals, and also eventually graduate into one-to-many sales so that you don't have to always be doing one-to-one sales, because it's a tough way to kind of scale your business. Yeah, you can build a sales team and do all of that, but if you can position your offer in a way that your prospects are chomping at the bit to join, to say yes to, and they really just, there's no other option for them other than to do it, you can now make it so much easier to sell in a one-to-many format and simplify and shorten your sales calls. And here's some really good news, is it actually has nothing to do with a guarantee. Now, guarantees are great, but oftentimes they are a crutch for a bad offer, and also to attract the wrong buyer, because it's like the gym, right? Just because you buy your gym membership doesn't entitle you to the outcome. You still have to show up and do the work. And so oftentimes when we lead with a guarantee, instead of having it as a back-end sales tool, we tend to attract the type of buyer who thinks that just by making the investment entitles them to the outcome. And we don't want to attract that type of person to our community, and you don't want the type of person in your offer either. So I think something that's very important to consider, as now I'm pivoting to how you do this for yourself, and it's very simple, so you're going to like it, bear with me. There's a very, very small percentage of the market and people who you would do a sales call with. It's like 3% of people who are actively in that buying mode who are going to actually commit to a big, long-term, and expensive contract. What we need to do instead is give them a breadcrumb trail that they can follow. Now, what does that breadcrumb trail look like? So here's what it is. I would be encouraging you, and there are some exceptions to this rule, but for the most part, if you have an offer that can produce very quick wins within the first 30 days of a client joining you, if you don't, you should. Here's what you should do. Instead of asking for your clients to pay monthly or for them to commit to X number of months and then have this big, scary, monster hanging over their head of, I hope this works, this better work, it has to work, and puts pressure on you, it puts pressure on them on a sales call to make a decision. Instead, what I would encourage you to do is change your pricing to a weekly format. So for us, instead of selling our product for $7,000 or $10,000 or $12,000 and ask them to commit for 3 months, like every single one of our competitors, that's hard to do. Like if it's a referral, oh cool, they might be more open to that. But if it's cold off of ads and they just found us and they're like shopping around, we have to make it easy for them to say yes. So what we have done is we have changed the positioning and pricing of our offer to essentially be a 1-month commitment with weekly pricing. And there's no other option. And I'll bear with me for a moment because again, I want to share with you like how you can collect more cash up front. There is a path towards that. But what I would be doing is instead of giving them these options of like, hey, we have a pay in full price, we got a monthly price, we have a weekly price, we're only doing the weekly price. And here's the reason why. If I ask you if you want a Snickers bar, how many options did I give you? There's 3, right? Yes, no, maybe. If I add on, hey, do you want a Snickers bar or Milky Way? I know, don't even talk to me. I know Snickers are better, but that's okay. But now it's 6 options. It's yes, no, maybe, or yes, no, maybe to getting both. And so you create this multiplier effect of decisions that creates indecision in your prospect's mind. And so what we've done is instead of asking for a large financial commitment up front or a large time commitment, which is scary for a lot of people, we've simply repositioned both of our programs only on the front end to be a weekly price with a minimum of a 1-month commitment. And then what this does is it makes the burden of taking out that credit card or getting their bank account information so much less scary because the weekly pricing isn't the full amount up front, and it allows them to try it before they officially pay for the whole thing. And then here's how we do this so we make sure we're still collecting a lot of cash up front in the first 30 days is optional, done for you upsells to the right prospect who wants some of the things that we do, but in a faster format and wants it done and delivered to them quicker. Again, this might look a little differently depending on what you're selling. People will pay for speed and ease of access, ease of use, ease of getting it set up, right? So again, if you ever go on Amazon or Wayfair, they have the option to add on professional like white glove setup and delivery, right? It's the same idea where people may take the route of splitting up the payments, but you can still collect more up front by having these done for you components. And then here's the key part. You want to have and incentivize loyalty rates. What does that mean? After their first commitment of 4 weeks on the weekly pricing model, you're going to get back on a call with them around that 3-week mark. And I have a whole Ascension call process for this. I can break down another video. Essentially just recaps their original goals, gives them massive value on the call, then says like, hey, a lot like the gym, in order to get to your fitness goals, you need to renew. You need to stay in the gym and keep doing the work, keep getting the help. And so with that mindset now, I say, hey, with that being said, do you want to see what it looks like to continue with us? And assuming they're getting the help and they're enjoying the product, you have to have a good product. That is a prerequisite that they actually like. They're going to say yes. And now you can present to them the option to continue to pay weekly, pause it anytime you'd like, or incentivize them to pay monthly or quarterly by giving them a break on the price and or added benefits or features by making that commitment. And the reason we do this now is it simplifies the commitment and the ask on sales calls, reduces the barrier to entry, and makes it easier for them to say yes on that first call without having to think about it because they get to try it. The financial burden feels less, even though it works out to be more if they pay weekly for a whole quarter, they pay more money doing it that route, but it allows them to try the product first without having to commit to a total stranger. So please, if you are struggling on sales calls of like feeling like having to convince people, go through all this objection handling, I need to think about it, there's uncertainty, test out this pricing model. Your ability to put in that front end effort and sharpen your blade, spend those first, if you got to chop down the tree, spend 4 hours sharpening the blade, 2 hours chopping down the tree. Instead of what most people do is they give a little thought to the offer structure. They spend an hour sharpening the axe and 5 hours chopping down the tree with a dull blade. It'll make your sales process so much easier if you consider this pricing model. It works. Go make money with it. Report back to me when you do. And if you want help with this, check out that link in the description. This is some offer structure we help a lot of our clients with. You can see how it looks like in our business as well. And if you've enjoyed these videos and you want to see more, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It'll help us reach more people. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.